Super Radio Brothers!
It's time for the Super Radio Brothers. I think the one just had an accident.
Yes, the Super Radio Brothers. We are back. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Broadcasting from strategic locations all across the empire. You heard it. It is the Super Radio Brothers. And of course, as always, my good friend with me is Trent Ferguson. What's up, Trent?
Hey man, how you doing? We're doing a show one night early this week. That is fantastic. It's always good to have a show where sometimes you got to do it the night before. Hey, I'm doing very well. I'm a traveling man, as the song by Ricky Nelson used to say. You know, I'm a traveling man, made a lot of stops all over the world. That's an old song back in the 60s.
I'm an everywhere man. Here. That
wow.
Song, right? I'm pretty good. I know.
That's a pretty good impression. Yeah. I'm actually legitimately impressed about that.
Thank you.
Wow.
Well, Trent, you don't know this, but I am a world-class singer. I have a wonderful singing voice.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I'll sit here and sing for you for the next 2 hours straight, nonstop.
Hell no.
I promise. We should probably have a band. We should. We do everything else. We have multiple shows. We work together. We should probably do music together.
Why not? Might as well make it the Triple Crown, the Rich Trent dynamic duo. That should be good. Yeah,
it'll force me to pick up my guitar again and see how bad I've become because it's been so long.
Hey, never say never.
Never say never.
People would come from miles around to see us, see our act and everything. Add some comedy in there too, along with playing music, in between songs, tell stories, do jokes. And,
it's funny. I was in a band in New York, Trent, and we had convinced ourselves we would do shows, and we had convinced ourselves, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna have a magic act during one of our shows, like magicians, So I literally went out and bought trick cards and a bowl that makes things disappear and all this nonsense, and you have these great plans, and then we show up for the gig, and it's a bar, and it's pretty dark in there, and we just abandoned the idea. So that's something I've thought about for a long time. What if I actually would have broke out into that magic show that night, And I spent like at least $50 preparing for it with all these magic tricks that I bought at some shop in Manhattan. But you get there and you're like, let's just play music.
Yeah. Yeah, let's just play. What we like to do is we like to, whenever we, for example, we played a show in a little town called Frostproof, which is about, 10 miles or so north of where I live. And we played in there on Tuesday. And we ended up doing the show. We got there about, I'd say maybe an hour or so before the show. We had to do sound check. But then after the show, we ended up actually going to this restaurant called Frostbite. It's like ice cream and burgers and all that stuff. My granddad got an actual chicken dinner. He got like a half chicken with French fries and coleslaw. It was so good. And then their fried chicken was homemade too, so it was like hand breaded and all that kind of thing. And also with they have some of the best burgers. I splurge. I try not to eat like burgers and stuff as much, but because those will pack on the pounds, as they say. But I will tell you, there was nothing like a good double burger yesterday. So I say all that to say there is nothing like having a nice meal at a mom and pop style restaurant, at a mom and pop style pub whenever I go out of town, because you don't get that very often. I don't want to go out of town and eat at a chain. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I want to go experience the local business and the local side of things.
That's when you find the good stuff. I remember having a dinner for the first time at O'Reilly's Pub, nice Irish pub there on 33rd and 5th Avenue in Manhattan. Became really good friends with the owner and the bartender John, and the owner Owen O'Reilly, very good friends of mine. And I remember the first time I was like, well, let me get a steak. And I had a pint of Guinness, a pint of the block stuff, and with that, a steak that, I kid you not, was bigger than my head. It was like a brontosaurus.
And your head's pretty big.
And my head is huge. No, it's not just big. My head is huge. I have trouble walking into rooms, Trent.
I know.
Especially when I'm feeling good about myself.
Yeah, people spot your head. They're like, oh, okay, here it is. Here's the big-headed monster and Rich Carroll. There he is.
But those people usually call me a big mouth, but
That's true.
Yeah, when I see that steak, those are those things you realize, man. Sometimes the mom and pop places treat you really well, compared to corporate.
Oh yeah.
chains.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I love the mom and pop style. Yeah, I love getting a steak. I love when I go to Rays games, I'll always, instead of, there's normally there's like some fast food places close to the stadium, but I love going to like Ferg's Sports Bar is a great place over there. I love going to I think there's like Eddie V's or something is over there.
Those places always have the best burgers too,
Oh, I know. Yeah, I had a burger one time from Ferg's. It's called the Major Leaguer, and it had like bacon and lettuce, tomato. It had all the meat on it, and it was just so good. Couldn't hardly walk straight for the next 3.5, 4 hours after I ate it because it was so huge. But I was trying to stay awake during the Rays game at a comfortable Tropicana Field. By the way, I thought of you. Listening to the final Rays spring training game yesterday, and we'll get into sports here in a little bit. But I thought about you yesterday because I was listening to the Rays Phillies game. The Rays got pummeled, by the way, 9-2 to the Philadelphia Phillies. Bryce Harper hit like 3 home runs in that game. But anyway, everybody's talking about the comfort level at Tropicana Field, and they actually got new speakers this year for the game. Yeah, they got new speakers. The rings, even the Rays broadcasters are not a fan of the rings that they have up at the top of the stadium. But they got new speakers. They got new. I think the scoreboard is relatively new. Maybe it's still the same one. But Tropicana Field is comfortable, Rich. Okay, so if you do get a chance to go see a Yankee game this year in Tampa and St. Pete, just remember that. You better be lucky that it's inside, especially in Florida, because it rains every day.
I should get out to a ball game in Tampa, go see the Yankees play in Tampa this year. We'll see if we make that happen. I'll tell you what, Trent, next time I see the Rays on television, I'll tell you if it's the same dump I remember, Although
yeah, I'm sure you will.
That's not fair considering you have to go to actually experience that. So I'll try to get out there to Tropicana Field.
Well, hey, you're only like an hour and a half away from me, so you better let me know whenever you're in town.
Yeah. Maybe, you know what? That's a good point. Maybe we'll go to a Yankee-Rays game together. How about that?
Ooh,
that
might
would
be fun. I'd enjoy that.
We'll do. And speaking of the burgers, there is a new Super Radio Brothers highlights video out there right now, Trent. We talked about the Pizza Hut spicy pizza last week. There's a video on that, but also we got a new highlight video out there. My review of the all-new hot honey chicken sandwich over at Wendy's. So find out what I thought about that on Super Radio Brothers
What's your
highlights.
favorite fast food chain? While we're on this topic, what's your favorite fast food chain? You like Wendy's, McDonald's, you like Hardee's, you like all the. I'd love to hear about this.
That's a hard decision. It's hard to say I like one more than the other. I would say that I've always been more of a Wendy's guy. But I definitely, about a year or two ago, I thought whenever it came out, I thought that the Popeyes spicy chicken sandwich was really good.
Love that chicken from Popeye.
I dig Chick-fil-A. I like more the chicken sandwiches now, but if I was going burger, I always liked a Big Mac once in a while, so McDonald's is there for sure. But I would say Wendy's was probably my favorite.
Oh man, Wendy's is good. I love their 4 for $4, man. When you get the double stacked burger with the fries and the chicken, and also get like a sweet tea as well, or whatever you drink. If you like Coca-Cola, you like sweet tea, you like whatever.
I like beer, Trent. Does your Wendy's have beer?
Oh yeah, beer's always good. Whatever kind of Mick.
Because my Wendy's doesn't have beer, Trent, and I think it's a problem.
Well, you need to go and tell corporate, write a letter.
We need to get in touch. Dave Thomas made a mistake. He should have got his alcohol license. Come on, man.
Come on. Yeah, exactly. Hey, you know what? Nobody says that a beer doesn't go good with a burger.
And guess what? It definitely does. That's a good segue for the news, because that's not news to me that a beer and a burger go together, because they go together just as good as beer and pizza, Trent.
So am I preaching to the choir?
Oh yeah. I am definitely the choir when it comes to that. From this hell we call Earth, it is the news, and we generally begin with poop news. And well, I'd hate to claim that this is poop news, but it is news that leads to poop. So technically, on a technicality, I'm going to say that this is poop news. What do you think, Trent? I don't
Sure,
know.
go ahead. It depends on what it is.
Okay, so how about this? This lady, Leah Shutkever, she broke the record. You know how I love Guinness records, right? I think it's great.
Oh yeah. Do you read the Guinness Book of World Records? Do you read that all the time?
Oh yeah. I always try to keep up with what's going on there and who's breaking what and what are the new records. But how about this one, Trent? Speaking, and it was a great segue talking about the burgers and the fast food and everything. This woman, she just got, and this is considered, by the way, one of the most coveted and hotly contested titles in the history of the Guinness Book of World Records. And I'm, of course, talking about the record for eating the most chicken nuggets. How about that? The fastest time. So let's see. This
chicken nuggets are good.
They are. They're pretty good. They're pretty good.
Although I don't like them as much as I used to, but I mean, yeah, they are good.
Are you a bigger fan of the Wendy's chicken nugget or the McNugget?
No, I like the Wendy's stuff. See, I got a funny story about that. So whenever I was young, I was a very picky eater, and I stayed this way until I was about 7 or 8 years old. All I would eat 3 things, okay, and none of them were healthy for you at all. One of them was grits. You know, the grits, like well, you're from New York, so I don't know if you. I
know grits because of the movie My Cousin Vinny. Have you ever seen that movie, Trent?
No, I have not.
In My Cousin Vinny, Joe Pesci plays a guy from New York, a lawyer who comes down south, I believe, to Alabama to represent his cousin in a murder trial. So it's all about the culture shock of someone from New York. It was Joe Pesci and Marissa Tomei, who plays his spouse, go from New York down to Alabama for a murder trial. He's a new lawyer, and hilarity ensues. But a big part of the story was grits, believe it or not. And that was the first time I was ever I don't think I've ever actually eaten grits, but I know of grits because of My Cousin Vinny.
Oh man, I love some grits every now and then. So what but that was the only thing I ate whenever I was a kid was grits, chicken nuggets from Wendy's. Like I would always ask my parents to get me like 2 5-piece. Like every time I would go in there, like get me like a 10-piece chicken nugget. With like a sweet tea, as big of a sweet tea as you could, and literally I would eat that for lunch and dinner a lot of times. Like just because my mom couldn't get me to anything else, she's like, okay, I know it's not good for him, I know it's putting on weight, but just like get him some chicken nuggets.
That's what he eats.
Like, he'd be quiet.
Yeah, he'll be quiet. That's what he eats. Let him eat it. Trent, this is the record for most chicken nuggets consumed in 60 seconds. How many do you think you can throw down in 60 seconds?
In 60 seconds, I'd say if they're small, probably about 6 or 7.
All right. Yeah, I think I could probably get around there in 60 seconds. Well, this lovely young lady, she downed in 60 seconds for the Guinness World Record 19 chicken nuggets.
Wow, in 60 seconds.
In 60 seconds, 19. Now, she is a prolific...
Did she even chew them?
You know what? It might be that... I don't know if you've ever seen the competitive eaters. I know like the Nathan hot dogs are a big deal during the 4th
Joey
of July.
Chestnut.
These people, they just basically swallow it with a lot of water. It's actually pretty repulsive to look at. So I'm assuming she did something like this. Like that. She's actually a prolific Guinness record holder as far as competitive eating is concerned. The fastest time to eat 3 mince pies. She holds that record for 52 seconds. She ate 3 mince pies. 3 pickled eggs in 7 seconds. The fastest to eat a muffin with no hands. Think about that. 21
Yeah.
seconds it took her in 2019. It still holds that record. Here's a good one. The most marshmallows eaten in 1 minute with no hands. Guess what she
No
did?
hands.
20 marshmallows. I feel like I can do that, though. You know, So,
I'm sure you probably could.
somehow
Oh,
I feel
yeah.
like I can do that one. But anyway, congratulations. She is the world record holder. 19 chicken nuggets in 60 seconds. What an athlete.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, yeah, absolutely. What an athlete. Just what a
And
what a
and I'm sure, Trent, it's poop news because to me that will lead to interesting bathroom time, I would think.
Yes. Let's just say you'd be sitting in there. Yeah, I can hear it right now, and it's
Yeah.
kind of it's very disgusting. It's disturbing.
It's just being human, Trent. What do you want?
Oh, I know, absolutely. But yeah, I heard that. But I got one for you.
All right.
You know, a British man. Of course, you have a kitchen. Everybody has a kitchen. They have.
I don't have a
stove.
kitchen, Trent. I made sure when I went house shopping, I said I don't need a kitchen. And
Did the guy look at you like, what is wrong with you?
yeah, no, I have a kitchen. I'm just kidding.
Oh, good. Well, of course, you know, you guys.
Just in case you were taking me seriously. So.
Hey, unless you were to like grill your food or something outside, you know, use a grill.
Yeah, I make
out
a
back.
fire in the backyard, Trent, and just,
Hey, you know, why not? But anyway, a British man was away in 4 different countries. He had a little bit of a vacation. But when he came back, he realized that he didn't have a kitchen anymore. They had burglars came into his house and stole everything. Stole his oven, stole his refrigerator. They even stole his freezer with, you know, his ice cream in it, his, you know, all whatever. Nothing was found. They even kind of messed up flooring and stuff in the kitchen whenever they made this move. Well, come to find out, they ended up getting arrested and they were charged for burglary for stealing a man's kitchen, literally and figuratively.
he stole his kitchen. That's that would be like his living room was stolen. You know.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of like the whole joke back in the day: "Is your refrigerator running? Well, you better go catch it."
Yeah, you better catch it.
Yeah, yeah. You know, it's people trying to be comedians.
Yeah, they're not successful half the time. You know.
No,
But I think half the time I'm 100% of the time funny. So what?
that's laughable.
I'm
right
sure
there.
that makes sense. So
Yeah.
So how about this, Trent? Study finds the world's most popular smell.
Okay.
The most popular. What do you think the world's most popular smell is?
Ooh, the smell of flowers. A lot of people love the smell of flowers, especially like women. They love the smell of flowers.
That's really nice, Trent.
What?
That you thought of flowers. My wife loves flowers, and you're right. Women love flowers. So definitely, if you're out there courting a fine young woman, be sure to buy flowers. It's a good move. It's a good move,
Yeah,
Trent.
you know that's pretty successful.
So there's not, but yeah, it is not flowers.
Okay.
But this research firm, they've reached their conclusion by having 280 people from different cultural groups living in very different lives, ranging from hunter-gatherers in Southeast Asia to Americans living in New York City. They had them take a whiff of 10 unique scents. To make a long story short, which is very difficult to do on this show, it turns out...
just look at the length of last week's show.
Yeah. It turns out that the most popular smell in the world is vanillin, which is the main component of vanilla extract. So
Would have never guessed.
basically vanilla. We love the smell of vanilla. And on the other end of the spectrum, Trent, what is the least popular smell in human history?
Smell of skunks.
Skunks.
Yeah.
Skunk is a pretty bad smell. As a matter of fact, it is a defense mechanism for that organism. However, that is not the most hated smell in the history of humankind. It actually.
Are you the most hated
it's
smell?
Rich Carroll. Oh. Boo.
Boo.
No, it's actually, it's a very. This is the least popular scent, Trent. And I know what I'm talking about here. You know what I'm talking about here. It is isovaleric acid. So
you're speaking Greek to me.
That is the odor typically associated with smells such as sweat. So the smell a person gives off as they're sweating. Now,
yeah, hey, don't you hate it? Whenever you're like with somebody and somebody's got bad BO. Like, hey, my question to you is, like, whenever you were in New York, I'm sure you took the subway, like pretty much everywhere, or everywhere you possibly could. When you were on the subway, like, a lot of times you're in close corridors with people. So didn't you hate it when you sat next to someone or when you stood next to someone, whatever you chose to do, and they ended up having bad BO? Like, there's no way of getting away from that until you actually get off the subway. And it's
interesting. I would say that the subway, there would be so many people at times, especially if you got on the subway during rush hour. That car would be so packed. Literally everybody, you're packed into the car like sardines, so you can't move. There are people all around you, you're scrunched together. So there are so many people. Sometimes you're not necessarily thinking about the smell. You're just thinking about how uncomfortable you are. I would say the bigger issue with smell in New York would sometimes be getting into an elevator with someone. Now, that's when it would be really rough and noticeable, at least in my experience. I'm sure there were times on the subway where there were some bad smells and stuff, but I remember it more so in the elevator. Those were some rough rides with people who didn't necessarily have the best hygiene.
Yeah. I mean, that's that. Wow. I don't blame you 100%. I mean, I would hate going in an elevator with somebody. I always hate it, too, whenever, but because the thing is, like, you don't want to be mean to them, but then again, like, you legit, sometimes you can't stand the smell of somebody. So, I mean, you legit, sometimes you have to hold your nose. I hate to say it, but I mean, there are times where you have to do that. And it's, and it's kind of awkward because they're around you and you're trying to do it very subtly, but they could see you. It's just I don't know. I legit, Rich. There's no joke. I have a story for you. Imagine that. But there was I had a history teacher that did not like one of the students in my class that for whatever reason just didn't get along with him. He was a smart kid, but they just, like, their personalities clashed. You know what I mean? Yeah. They just didn't, they really didn't have anything in common. So, and he was partially deaf, as well. He was kind of hard of hearing and a little visually impaired. So I was good friends with the guy. So she walked up to me and whispered in my ear. She said, "Trent, I need to talk to you outside." I'm like, okay. So I get up, go outside, and she goes, "Can you please tell your friend Ryan that he's got extremely horrid body odor? And can you tell him to, like, possibly improve that?" I'm like, yeah, this is not awkward at all. So
that's wrong. Why would she put you in such an awkward spot? That's terrible.
Yeah, she will remain nameless, but I will tell you that she did that, and I legit had to. It was one of the most awkward conversations I had to have, but I had to have it, in private with him. She wanted me to, so I.
So you actually went through with it.
Because she wouldn't stop asking me. She was like putting pressure. She was like,
why you, Trent? Why were you the go-to guy to try and get this guy to take a bath?
Because apparently other people thought that this guy was weird. I mean, like,
you were the only person who could talk to him.
Yeah, one of the only. I was one of the only people that he talked to, besides, like, instructors.
Oh,
like
I see.
Yeah, student wise, like, besides the teachers, I was one of the only students that he kind of wanted to interact with. So, and by the way, I haven't talked to him in a few years, so I don't. Hopefully, he doesn't remember that.
Maybe he's listening to this show right now.
He could be, and he may be, like, mad as could be for me telling that story.
Look,
but you know
just
what?
Because you stink doesn't mean you're not a cool dude and a good friend. Okay, I've had friends that stink. Okay, like, those dudes smell bad, but they were good friends. And then I've known people who smell really good and they sucked and they weren't good friends.
Oh, well, I'm proud to know that if I do stink around you, I am a good friend of yours. So
I won't hold it against you. It's not about if you smell good or bad. It's about, are you a good friend? Do you have my back? That's what it's about, Trent.
And the answer to those questions is affirmative.
Yeah,
I do have
and
your
you
back.
don't stink. I've been around you, so it's two positives there.
Well, that's good. Well, you're not around me right now. Who knows? I could stink right now. We're in strategic locations, as they say.
Luckily, this isn't smell-o-vision or smell-o-radio.
Yes, smell-o-vision. He's terrible. But hey, it wouldn't be a Super Radio Brothers news highlights story if we didn't have a story that involved a robbery. Because the past few weeks we have, how robbers are, kind of stupid and they have no idea what they're doing. Well, a
Stupid
robbery,
thieves.
Thieves. A robber did the best he could to try to mend the situation. He got involved with this in this store. The article didn't say what establishment that he had this altercation in, but he had an altercation in an establishment with the manager.
Can we say it's Outback Steakhouse?
Fictitiously, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to.
I just need it for my imagination, Trent.
Okay, so yeah, well, actually, because this is like a store. This is not necessarily.
Yeah, never mind. Outback is lame. It doesn't match the story. Sorry, Trent.
So I'd say, hey, how about let's say Sears? Like Sears, the old franchise. I don't think it's around anymore. I don't think.
No,
Sears
they don't even have. Yeah, I think Sears went bankrupt or something.
I think so.
Let's just say the bodega. I'm from New York, right? So I'm used to the corner store being the bodega.
Oh, okay, yeah, I heard that. But they went to Sears and everything. So the guy ended up having a scuffle with the owner. Well, during the scuffle, he literally lost his gun. So the robber fled the store, but returned a few hours later. He went home, showered, and literally dressed up in a suit. He said dressed up in some of his best clothes. So he dressed up in like a suit tie, like pants, a nice shirt, nice dress shirt, and ended up walking into this store and legitimately apologizing to the owner and said, sir, I sincerely apologize for having this scuffle. I lost my gun. Will you please give me my gun back? And the manager quickly said, no deal. And the guy was arrested. No. So that was that. I think it's funny. You got to commend the guy for legitimately going home, showering, finding the best clothes possible out of his wardrobe, and dressing up and walking and coming back to the store. Yeah.
See, there's the guy's a thief. He's a criminal, but he doesn't smell bad. He took the time to go take a bath and everything.
No, because he wanted to be professional. He wanted to take a shower because he knew that he and this guy were going to be interacting in close corridors. So you might as well.
See, my point is just that there are some really good people out there that just stink. They don't smell well, but they don't smell good. But hey, they're still good people.
I think I'm going to need to take a shower after this show.
Here's someone who's not a good person, Trent. A man in Germany gets 90 COVID-19 shots to sell forged passes. So he would get the rubber stamp, you've been vaccinated. Well, he did that 90 times so he could sell forged passes so people could claim they were vaccinated. How about that? That's
man. I've heard some wild things about the vaccinations and come on people, like they hadn't gotten their vaccine yet. You want to make sure people have enough to get it, and of course it seems like as COVID is I wouldn't necessarily say in his rear view mirror. I mean it's relatively close. It seems like we've been in a good stretch here for the last month or so. So I will take that, but the COVID vaccine, that's a really important deal, man. You got to make sure you savor as many of those as possible.
I got a couple of things left here, Trent. Do you have anything else?
Yeah, actually I do. A guy tries to steal a toilet.
So you had a kitchen stolen, and now someone's trying to steal a toilet.
Absolutely. I didn't plan it this way. It
really affects your faith in humanity, when you hear the types of things people are stealing.
But a guy tries to steal a toilet But Rich, you want to know what he used to steal it? He didn't use a trailer. He didn't use any of that. He used a scooter, like one of those motor scooters that you see on the road. You know what I'm saying? You know those things?
Oh yeah.
Well, and this guy, this isn't in England. So a guy in Argentina, a couple of guys stopped by a fast food joint and asked if they could use the bathroom. You know, they were probably out. They needed to use the restroom. They needed to find a place. Sometimes you all have to do that. Is whenever, especially when we go on long trips. You know, if you need to use the restroom, you see a fast food place, you're like, oh, okay, I'll just go in and use their facilities and go on about my merry way. Then they went into the facilities and yanked the toilet. Then proceeded to try to load it onto their scooter. They were trying to balance 2 people and 1 toilet on the back of their scooter when police arrived, and they ended up getting arrested for armed robbery.
Like, how do you begin that process to commit this crime and not understand I am going to get arrested? This is not going to go well.
Criminals are not smart, Rich. Haven't you realized that?
I guess
they have no common sense.
I guess that's why you have to steal a toilet to begin with, right?
Why would you want to steal? Why would you want to steal a toilet? Why would you want a toilet that bad?
I would just go in public. That would be my. Hey, I don't have a toilet. You know, I was just gonna use the bathroom in public. You know.
Yeah, I mean,
at least it'll bring attention to my plight.
Yeah, definitely. I mean. So, I would hate to see that video go viral. But,
but it would probably be good for Super Radio Brothers.
Yeah, it would, but not for the life of Rich Carroll.
Yeah, it'll be bad for me. Can you imagine, Trent? You know, a Ferrari, a supercar. You know, it'd be nice.
Oh, I love Ferraris.
It'd be nice to have a Ferrari. Can you imagine buying a Ferrari for $326,000, close to $327,000? You buy this supercar, and you crash it the same day. And not only do you wreck it the same day, you wreck it just 2 miles away from the dealership. The dude literally just bought it, and he wrecks it 2 miles out of driving out of the dealership. That's
oh man.
You know, you probably shouldn't have bought a Ferrari. You
know, now I need a little more details if you haven't. Like, what was he doing? Like, was he driving at a high rate of speed whenever he wrecked it, or what did he like? Did he hit somebody? Did he like not? Was he trying to see how much horsepower the car had by like legit trying to go fast around a curve? I mean, how did he wreck?
It doesn't give that kind of detail. It just says that photos shared by police show the front bumper crumbled with scratches all across the front of the flashy red sports car. Driver was uninjured, but he was left counting the costs after his pride and joy was destroyed in the collision shortly after he purchased the car from the dealership. So,
well,
good.
I wonder what his blood alcohol level was.
Yeah, I guess you kind of have to be drunk to spend $327,000 on a car.
Shoot, yeah,
it stands to reason.
you would have a lapse in judgment. That's for sure. That's a huge lapse in judgment if it is.
I could have bought so many other things. I could have fed, the homeless. I could have, cured every disease. Well, maybe not, but yeah.
Dude, although my granddad, he loves old classic cars, man. He just bought a Porsche a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, you were telling me about that.
Yeah, he bought a Porsche from this guy up in Orlando, and he found out. We actually took a little stroll into tonight, before the show. Was doing some show prep and had to go out and grab some dinner, before I got the program started. So we ended up driving that Porsche to the restaurant, and a couple weeks ago, whenever he drove the Porsche, he actually had some issues with the ignition switch, and the car wouldn't start at first. But he got that all situated, and he's still waiting on the tag for his Porsche.
Look at that.
He's got it.
That's how Trent prepares for the show. He goes on joy rides in a classic Porsche. I'm jealous.
Absolutely, man. That gets my adrenaline pumping. I said, okay, hey, who knows? I might own a self-driving Porsche one day. For all I know,
that'd be something. Yeah. Anything else on your end for the news, Trent?
No, that pretty much does it for me. Those were the 3 top stories that I found. I had to have that for the finale. I had to have the toilet story because I had a feeling you would appreciate that.
I got one last story here, finally, and of course it involves UFOs because they do exist and they're among us. An interesting story here, Trent, which will be a segue, spoiler, into our rundown segment. So a UFO expert, Trent, check this out. Maybe he's onto something here. A UFO expert thinks aliens may avoid Earth after Will Smith's Oscar slap.
Is that right?
Yeah. The aliens, the all-powerful, advanced, super genius aliens, they're going to avoid Earth because of the Will Smith Oscar slap.
Okay.
Let's see if there's an explanation here. According to one UFO expert, Will Smith's now infamous altercation with Chris Rock may have provided extraterrestrials with all the evidence they need to avoid the third rock from the sun. Nick Pope, a former official with Britain's Ministry of Defense. So this is, British, the British Ministry of Defense, Trent. This dude knows what he's talking about, okay?
Yeah.
He says any alien life forms happening to tune into the Oscars, because obviously they are. I mean, 90% of the planet Earth aren't tuning into the Oscars, but the aliens are. So if extraterrestrials tuned in to the Oscars, they could have divisive thoughts amongst themselves about humans enacting such a way. And this is what Nick Pope says, and I quote, "If extraterrestrials are watching Earth, either monitoring us as part of a scientific study of emerging civilizations, or maybe as reconnaissance ahead of an alien invasion, they'll get a lot of their information about us from our TV broadcast." Because let's be honest, as I interject here, that's how most people get their information about the human race, is through their television broadcasts.
That's right.
Pope continues, he says in a chat with the Mirror, what will they make of the fiasco at this year's Oscar ceremony? Aliens will already know Will Smith from Independence Day. You ever see Independence Day, Trent? That's when Will Smith himself thwarted an alien invasion, and he punched an alien and uttered the immortal line, "Welcome to Earth." So the aliens, they're well aware of Will Smith because they saw Independence Day. This guy makes total sense, doesn't he, Trent?
Oh, yeah. I mean, he definitely does. And but, yeah, the UFOs, I remember we had a chat about that on last week's show. They are real, according to you.
According to me, yeah. According to me. I'm not sure if everybody agrees with me, but I think the evidence is all there. Just look at the story.
Let us know in the comments if you believe with Rich Carroll.
Oh yeah. I think about 90% of the world agrees with me, so I'm just going to go with that.
That's a pipe dream, pal.
95 maybe.
Radio Rundown.
Not to mention, Trent, that Will Smith starred in the movie Men in Black.
Of course.
Where he was an agent that basically was a police for aliens on Earth, a policeman for aliens on Earth. So they're very familiar with him. I agree with this article wholeheartedly.
Me too.
So here we go. Super Radio Rundown. I have Will Smith's official Oscar statement. So we talked about this last week, the whole smack heard round the world. Will Smith, Chris Rock, the whole thing. Will Smith did address the issue this past week, and here he is. He says, "I have directly responded to the Academy's disciplinary hearing notice, and I will fully accept any and all consequences for my conduct. My actions at the 94th Academy Awards presentation were shocking, painful, and inexcusable. The list of those I hurt is long and includes Chris, his family, many of my dear friends and loved ones, all of those in attendance, and global audiences at home." He doesn't mention the aliens, but I'm sure in his heart he does. "I betrayed the trust of the Academy," the actor said in his resignation statement. He added, "I deprived other nominees and winners of their opportunity to celebrate and be celebrated for their extraordinary work. I am heartbroken. I want to put the focus back on those who deserve attention for their achievements and allow the Academy to get back to the incredible work it does to support creativity and artistry in film. So I am resigning from membership in the Academy of Motion Pictures, Arts, and Sciences and will accept any further consequences the board deems appropriate. And it turns out, Trent, that they have sentenced him to death. So Will Smith will be killed because of his slap on. No, that's not true. But, yeah, I don't know what else the Academy can do to him. But there you go. That's the statement from Will Smith. Now,
here's my question. Do you think he really means it?
I don't know. That's a hard question to answer. Only he can answer that. I think it's something that he had to say. So to that point, I think it's easy to say that he doesn't actually mean it. It's something that's expected of him.
That's expected of anybody. Kanye West apologized to Taylor Swift after he kind of took the mic out of her hand, and she was in the middle of talking. Do you remember that back in 2009?
Yeah, that's a good point. I do remember that.
Yeah, Taylor, she was in the middle of presenting and giving her speech, and Kanye just reps up, snatched the mic, and goes, Taylor, I don't mean to, I'm going to let you finish, but I want you to know that Beyonce is the best of all time. And he got booed, and, he was blackballed for a long, long, long time. That was kind of the beginning of the end, I hate to say, for Kanye West. Now, Kanye West has kind of turned it around a little bit. That's a weird guy to analyze. I mean, he's so wishy-washy, and you don't know what Kanye you're going to get on a random day. Probably doesn't help who he's dating either, whether it be who he was dating or Kim Kardashian or everything like that. But I mean, you look at this. Kanye had to apologize. Did he really mean it? I don't know. Did Will Smith? Yeah, I could see where he probably, would kind of. I could see where he would mean, some of the things that he would say, but I'm sure that he's thinking in the back of his mind that, why do I have to do this? I'm really not sorry for it.
Yeah, it's a professional thing, and here's why would he have to do that? Well, look at this story, Trent. One of his big franchises in his career, Will Smith, was the Bad Boys franchise, and with Martin Lawrence, and Bad Boys 4 was in production, but now has reportedly been put on pause after the Will Smith Oscar slap. So it's something that's already affecting his film career. Bad Boys is a big franchise, and now they've halted production all because he did that one stupid thing at the Oscars. So, that's something, even if he doesn't mean it, he has to say if he wants Bad Boys 4 to go back into production, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole thing. I mean, look, 1 minute of a lapse in judgment, 1 minute of, your emotions kind of taking over your body, taking over your actions, that could be detrimental to a career. I mean, you could ruin a career just like that, literally in the blink of an eye.
Yep, that's what happens. And I think that's what he did. 30 years, I don't want to say down the drain, but, he ruined what could have been the greatest night of what was a long, successful career in entertainment for Will Smith. We'll see how he bounces back from that. Trent, we've gone from one of the highest comic book rated movies in the Batman ever, which achieved at its high point at least a 95% on Rotten Tomatoes, to this past weekend coming out Morbius, one of the lowest of all time, critics at 16% on Rotten Tomatoes. And I did get a chance to go see that movie over the weekend, and I won't get too deep into it here. Know that there is a Super Radio Brothers highlights video where you'll get my full review on Morbius. I don't think it was very good. I'm not a fan of Sony creating these Spider-Man rogues movies without Spider-Man. It doesn't make much sense to me. But, I will say this. I do think Morbius might be a little bit better than you think it is, better than what critics are giving it credit for. Look, don't get me wrong. It wasn't that good, but it's not necessarily as bad as they're saying. It's much better than the Sony Venom movies. So I don't know if that's saying much. I thought Jared Leto was pretty good in it. I've killed him before. I thought he was terrible in Suicide Squad as the Joker, but he's actually pretty good here. Speaking of which, right. Jared Leto used a wheelchair for Morbius bathroom breaks to stay in character. So he's one of those actors that just stays in character while he's in a role, which I don't know. I think that would annoy me if I was working with him, Trent. Like, dude.
Oh, yeah. I don't blame
you,
man.
You're not Morbius. Get over it. Get out of the wheelchair. Just go use the bathroom. You know what I mean?
That's what's up.
I think he would annoy me. But anyway. And some people,
a lot of things annoy you.
That's true. But some people, I don't know what they call that. I don't think it's method acting, but it's a form of preparation of not leaving the role. I mean, Heath Ledger famously preparing for his role as the Joker in The Dark Knight, basically locked himself, isolated himself from humanity, locked himself in a hotel room. A lot of people believe drove himself crazy, which eventually led to his death. Before that movie even came out, but who knows? I guess it could be a really good thing or a really bad thing. Jared Leto's famous for that. When he played the Joker, he sent castmates dead fish deliveries and a whole bunch of ridiculous things. So I don't know. I think you should be able to do your job without being unprofessional. But maybe there's no such thing as being professional in a creative environment. What do you think?
Oh yeah, I agree. There's no such thing as that, and we'll see how it goes.
I thought this was cool. I'm really enjoying Star Trek Picard season 2, a lot more than I enjoyed season 1. And season 3, it's been announced, has been approved. It is a go, and it will be the final season in the Star Trek Picard saga. And the biggest news here, if you're a Star Trek fan, is that season 3. Star Trek fans will get the long-awaited reunion of major cast members. And this is extremely exciting. I love all Star Trek. I love the original series. I love The Next Generation. And all of the Next Generation characters will join Patrick Stewart on screen. Jonathan Frakes, of course, Number 2, William Riker, LeVar Burton, the beloved chief engineer, Geordi LaForge, Brent Spiner, Lieutenant Data, who's already actually been in Picard, Michael Dorn, Worf, Marina Sirtis, Deanna Troi, and Gates McFadden, Dr. Beverly Crusher. They are all returning for Star Trek Picard Season 3. This is the first time that they've reunited since the Next Generation ended. So that's really exciting if you're a Star Trek fan. That is super duper awesome. Cool. Let's see, going through it here. Looks like it's been confirmed when we're going to see Daredevil and Kingpin, Vincent D'Onofrio and Charlie Cox in their roles in the Netflix series, returning to the MCU in a show called Echo on Disney+. The Echo character was introduced in the Hawkeye series, the Disney Plus Marvel Hawkeye series, which so far is my favorite one. So that's Vincent D'Onofrio reprised his role as Kingpin in Hawkeye, and we saw Charlie Cox as Daredevil in the latest Spider-Man movie, confirming that those Netflix characters are going to enter the MCU. And from what I understand, the MCU is considering those shows canon now, so that's pretty cool. The latest Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness trailer includes a zombie Doctor Strange, and that movie just looks so wacky with each trailer that comes out. The Multiverse of Madness. We have seen the Zombie Strange teased. Everybody knows. I think early 2000s, Marvel kind of wanted to jump on the success of the zombie genre. You had a couple of big movies at the time, and of course, Robert Kirkman's Walking Dead was exploding from the indie comic scene into television on AMC. So Marvel decides, well, we want Marvel Zombies, and they create a Marvel Zombies comic book written by Robert Kirkman, the creator of The Walking Dead, and it's a very popular comic book. It's worth a lot if you're fortunate enough to have issue number 1. I have the first issue of that, so very cool stuff. But yeah, Zombie Strange teased in the Multiverse of Madness trailer. Also, we've seen Evil Strange, which was introduced in the Disney series What If. So a lot of cool things. There's no doubt. as much as I dreaded reviewing, as much as I dreaded Trent reviewing Morbius, I know for a fact Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness is going to be super duper awesome. I cannot wait. Cannot wait.
Yeah.
Video game news. Video game. Yeah.
Sorry, Trent, you got something on that?
Oh no, I was just saying. Oh, this sounds good.
Yeah, for sure. That's going to be. If you haven't seen any of the Doctor Strange movies, if you're listening to the show, there's a good chance you have. But it's definitely tops in the Marvel universe, and of course, the Doctor Strange character has played a big role in the MCU's greater story, whether it's the Avengers or Spider-Man. So definitely some implications for the future of the MCU coming up in Multiverse of Madness. I cannot wait for that movie. So moving on from there to video game news, Days Gone director. Days Gone, one of my favorite games ever. Open world zombie game. That was kind of the experience I was always looking for as a kid playing those old Resident Evil games. Days Gone, unfortunately, looks like it's not going to get a sequel. If there was any game that was deserving of a sequel, it would be Days Gone. But the director of that game is now working at Tomb Raider and at Crystal Dynamics Studio. So, and I love Tomb Raider as well. Those are great games, so that's going to be a fantastic partnership, I think, because I think Days Gone is one of the greatest games of all time, and those new Tomb Raider games are pretty awesome as well, so that's a cool team-up that's happening there. If you're a video game fan, you'll remember Max Payne 1 and 2 are some of the great shooting games of all time. I wouldn't say it introduced the concept of slow motion, but there was a lot of, for me anyway, it was the game that really showed that it could be cool in a shooter to slow down things. And even my dad, I remember when he first started getting into video games, when he got injured, the Max Payne games were some of his favorite games. Well, if you're a big Max Payne fan, PS5 and Xbox Series X, the next generation of consoles, will have remakes of Max Payne 1 and 2. And I used to be against these video game remakes, but I think this is awesome after playing the Resident Evil remakes on PS4 because those were fantastic. So on PS5, a Max Payne 1 remake, that's probably going to be seriously awesome. So keep an eye out for that as well. I know you know this, Trent. One of the big issues with gaming over the past year is the availability of PlayStation 5.
They're really not much availability at all.
Yeah, there's like a semiconductor shortage. I guess the microchips and all of that, and it's really a messed up thing if you think about it, because there's a lot of people they want a next gen system, they want a PS5, and not only do you have to deal with the conductor shortage, but on top of that, you're dealing with resellers. You're dealing with scalpers, and they're driving up the price of everything. And the way I got a PS5, and I had been trying for a while, and there was actually a local small shop here that started posting Facebook messages about we have PS5s, put it on on layaway, pay in small increments. So I look into it, and if you do it their way, that PS5, which should cost about $500, is over $1,000. And I remember sending them a message like, "Hey, what if I just paid up front? What would the price be?" And they basically said $1,000. And I was like, "Well, you guys are scalpers then, and that's wrong and that's illegal." And they came back at me. They're not scalpers, this and that, blah, blah, blah. No, you're scalpers. You're taking advantage of people. It's a pretty messed up thing. So the way I was able to get a PS5, there were these different drops at different stores. I had tried over and over again with Walmart and Best Buy, unsuccessful. It kept being left out. But eventually I was able to get hooked up through PlayStation. I entered what was basically a raffle where PlayStation, if you get chosen, you get a special invite to buy a PS5. And I got lucky enough to where I basically won a lotto to earn the right to buy a PlayStation 5. So that's a real problem still right now for many gamers. If you want a PS5 or an Xbox Series X, you just can't get one. Well, the systems, the developers, they think they've come up with a solution. According to Yahoo Japan, PlayStation has come up with a method to slow things in Japan as far as scalpers are concerned by implementing the use of a sticker that's applied to the PS5 box. When someone buys the system, the retailer peels the sticker, leaving behind a seal marking the product opened. So apparently attempting to remove the sold seal can damage the box the system comes inside. The idea is that by using this method, resellers won't be able to market the console as new on sites like eBay. Unfortunately, Yahoo Japan states that Sony has not mentioned how large this rollout will be or exactly when it might begin. Still, it's easy to see how it could help to stop some resellers or at least make it somewhat less lucrative. But right now, there still seems to be no end in sight on the console shortage. It's safe to say that resellers are still going to be an issue going into the future. But that's just, I don't know, that's one of those things to me, Trent, that's just disgusting and wrong. And it's just an example of people taking advantage of a situation. They realize this is something people want. And guess what? You're going to pay whatever I want you to pay for it.
Sure thing. You know, it's kind of like price gouging.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's highway robbery. You have no choice. You really want this. Guess what? Pay double for it. You know?
Yep.
And it's just, it's not right, man. It's just not right. Yeah. Super Radio Brothers Sports. I know a lot went on in the world of sports, and Trent is here to tell you all about it. And I might say something too, but go ahead, Trent. Super Radio Brothers Sports. What's going on this week?
You know, first of all, I got two things. One, that music always pumps me up. That's a great find, by the way. I don't know what it is.
I think that's Sharon's music.
Yeah, Sharon did a great job. You know, she's our illustrious and amazing producer. She does a great job.
Yeah,
okay?
all the videos you see on Super Radio Brother highlights and everything, she put all those together. So,
yeah, you have to give credit. You got to give credit where credit's due. You know, and but
sometimes.
anyway, what's that?
I said sometimes. Sometimes I don't want to give credit.
I know. I can
sometimes
tell.
I just want to take all the credit for myself.
I know, absolutely. Yeah, trust me, I've learned that firsthand.
Yeah.
But number
I'm taking
two,
credit for Trent's sports report right now, whatever he says. I told him to say it.
Yeah, take advantage. Yeah, you got exactly for this upcoming sports. Rich gave me all this. I'm just reading from a trend. What do they call that? A prompter.
This is the Rich prompter.
The Rich prompter. That's what I'm. Okay. But anyway, hey, the what's going on in sports? There's a lot going on. Let's first of all, let's kind of talk. Since the theme is baseball. If you're listening on Thursday, you got some games. Rich's New York Yankees, though. We're supposed to open up against the Boston Red Sox at Yankee Stadium in the Bronx, but early Wednesday it was announced that game has been postponed until tomorrow, with it being Friday. If you're listening on late Wednesday night, early Thursday, Friday is when they'll play their first game. But something that I want to kind of stick with, since it's the opening day of baseball coming up, opening weekend, finally, I did not think we would ever get here. Just by the way, the future was not looking bright at all. Matter of fact, it was very bleak coming into February and early March. Whenever they made that decision, I think it was like March 10th, they finally made the decision saying, hey, we're going to have baseball. March 18th, they started having spring training games. And before we know it, Rich, we're in April. Tomorrow is opening day for both of our teams. I cannot wait. Just want to ask you, from the beginning, we've seen spring training. You've had the chance to see some of the Yankee stars in their minor league system. There are really a lot of things are different about the New York Yankees this year, especially with no Corey Kluber anymore. You got, you had a chance to go after Carlos Correa. You guys didn't quite get him. Your pitching is kind of, on paper it's not, as high as as good as it really has been in the past. So tell me, what do you expect from the Yankees this year?
Well, a couple of things. First of all, what I would say about Thursday's opening day being rained out, I actually like it. You know why, Trent?
Why?
Because one of the most annoying things to me when a baseball season starts is the first series. You'll get that game on Thursday, but then they'll take the day off Friday and then continue the series Saturday and Sunday.
The Rays did that 1 year.
And the reason why they do that is for this exact reason. Just in case the game gets rained out, we'll have opening day on Friday. So that's why they leave that day open the next day after opening day.
Shoot, opening day is always better on a Friday.
Yeah, and so to me, I hate having opening day. And you know how it is. You got opening day, you have baseball fever. I just saw the first game. And then especially if your team loses the first game, you can't wait to get game 2. And this idea of, okay, I just got game 1, now I got to wait till Saturday for game 2 always annoys me. So the fact that I have to wait till Friday now is fine with me because I know I'm going to get Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
And you got the Yankees on prime time Sunday night. You got Sunday Night Baseball, the first Sunday Night Baseball edition
Yankees,
of the
Red
2022 season, Yankees Red Sox.
And
the Red Sox look darn good on paper too. I would not take those guys lightly.
I mean, just look at the division. A lot of people will tell you the Toronto Blue Jays are the best team in the other than, let's forget about Baltimore. I think the Orioles themselves have forgotten about Baltimore because they're in that group of teams that aren't even spending $65 million on their roster this year. So you got a bunch of teams out, whether it's the Guardians.
You look at the Orioles, and then you look out at the AL West. You look at the Oakland A's. What are they doing trading Sean Manaea, one of their best pitchers ever?
Yeah. Some of these franchises, you should just scratch your head. Like, they're not spending any money. They're going to, it's really, you just got to wonder what's going on there. But you look at the other teams in the American League East. Yeah. Toronto looks amazing. The Rays are consistently good. And you got the Red Sox and the Yankees. And if you're a Yankee fan, you want to complain that they haven't made a lot of moves in the offseason. You can, but you can't necessarily say, they don't have the highest payroll in baseball, but compared to some of the teams we were just talking about, they're still spending over $250 million on their roster. So when I look at the Yankees, there are a couple of questions I have. Of course, the pitching staff is Severino. It feels like it's been years since the guy has pitched. And they're really going to need, since they didn't go out and sign any of these big pitchers, they're going to need Severino to come back and be a Cy Young level pitcher, a guy that you can count on to go out there and give you at least 30 starts, and give you 15 to 20 wins. Let me not get too crazy. Give me 15 wins, hopefully 10 to 15 wins, and away we go. But Severino's a big part of that. I think the other guys stink. I can't stand Montgomery. I really don't think the Yankee pitching is great. But the big question mark is Garrett Cole. There was a big drop in what he was able to do after they took away the spider attack, after the sticky stuff. All of a sudden, he was terrible second half of the season, gets smacked around in a wild card game against the Red Sox. And, the Yankees are $300 million deep in on this guy. So, he's supposed to be a Cy Young level pitcher, but, he's supposed to be the best pitcher in the American League. Is Garrett Cole really an ace? I think after losing the spider attack, he has a lot to prove this year. And if Garrett Cole cannot be a top pitcher, and I'm not talking about a guy that's going to go out there and give you innings. I'm talking about a guy that's going to go out there and be dominant, a guy that's going to give you 7-8 innings a start, a guy that's going to get over 200 strikeouts, a guy that's going to, give you close to 20 victories, a guy that's going to be a difference maker as far as winning a division and not winning a division, a guy that's going to give you more than 4 innings in a playoff game. So they need Garrett Cole to be that guy. As far as the lineup is, there's more question marks. They made some interesting moves here. They're convinced that this Volpe guy, is possibly the next Jeter in the minor leagues. So they didn't go after Story. They didn't go after Carlos Correa. So what do? You go out, you get Connor Falefa, and the guy has actually looked pretty good during the spring. You go out there and your answer at third base is a 37-year-old Josh Donaldson who, look, 6 years ago was an MVP candidate, no doubt. Is
Sure
he
was.
that player anymore? Last year he had 25 home runs, but he also has a history of injury. So what is he going to give you? I love his attitude. I don't think you need to have an all-star at every position. You need pieces that fit. And I think that's what Cashman looked at this year. And, he's got to start producing himself. Yankees are in the middle of a World Series drought. That in the Bronx is unacceptable. It's unacceptable that the Yankees haven't won or been in a World Series since 2009, and Brian Cashman still has a job. So the moves that he makes has to start producing. And they have a $250 million payroll. It's World Series or bust, regardless what you say, with the Yankees and the other teams in the division. So a lot of people have a lot of things to prove here. I do like the pieces. I think it's possible, but guys have to stay healthy. So you have a question mark with Donaldson. You have a question mark with Garrett Cole. What's he going to be? The lineup is still gangbusters. You still got Aaron Judge in there. You still have Giancarlo Stanton, which, regardless of what people say, had a huge end of the season last year. Had a big time playoffs. He's a force. All right. That's a guy that's a force in the lineup. Rizzo's a pesky hitter. DJ LeMahieu, if he has a comeback year, can be one of the better hitters in all of baseball. You expect Gleyber Torres to at least come back to somewhat of the form of what he was 2 years ago. If he doesn't, that's another big failure by Brian Cashman and his big trade a couple years ago with the Chicago Cubs and sending Chapman. I mean, you essentially got Gleyber Torres for nothing because you got Chapman back the next year. But still, Gleyber Torres is a big prospect, and he hit 37 home runs a couple years ago. He's had back-to-back terrible years, but he has to come back and be the player that he was after a couple of down years. DJ LeMahieu had a down year last year. He has to come back and be what you expect on the back of the baseball card. So, Yankees have a lot of ability there, but they're relying on guys coming back and having bounce-back seasons. And that's what, you need guys to perform, which didn't happen last year. And that being said, they still made the wild card game. But you look at what went down on that roster last year, whether it was DJ LeMahieu, Gleyber Torres, Garrett Cole, a lot of dudes making a lot of money didn't get the job done last year. And that's going to have to change this year if they're going to compete in a division that has, again, the Toronto Blue Jays, the Boston Red Sox, the Tampa Bay Rays, a lot of competition there. So the Yankees have pieces, but will those pieces perform to their ability? And if they don't this year, enough with this Brian Cashman. He needs to be done. Yankee rant over. You got me started on the Yankees, Trent. What can I tell you?
Well, I mean, I had to. They're one of the biggest teams in baseball. I had to talk a little bit about that. Speaking of the baseball, of course, we got several games. Of course, the Atlanta Braves will be waving their World Series banner at Truist Park in Atlanta tonight when they take on the rebuilding Cincinnati Reds. Of course, the Rays. You look at their first 7 games of the schedule. They begin with the Orioles and the A's. You should at least win both of those series. I would say, take at least 3 out of 4 from the Oakland Athletics, and you should be able to sweep Baltimore. Okay, Tampa Bay went 17-2 against Baltimore. No, I'm sorry, 18-1. They went 18-1 against Baltimore. Baltimore's got that in the back of their mind. But Rich, they don't have the pieces. I mean, yes, you got guys that have the opportunity to hit every now and then. But you look at the Orioles. They're in the mindset they are rebuilding. But then again, they're playing with house money. So if they win, they'll definitely. Any team wants to win, but I honestly think any team in the American League East should be able to take care of Baltimore. If you can't, then that's your issue.
Yeah, Baltimore's a joke, and that was definitely the difference in the division last year. Because when I look at it, I really feel like you have 4 evenly matched teams, and what the Rays were able to do was they were able to take care of business against a team like Baltimore in a way that no one else was able to. And in baseball, that's not necessarily an easy thing to do. So they were able to do that, 18-1 against Baltimore. That was what won them the division for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So we got the Rays have an interesting schedule this year. It's they've got they don't have Austin Meadows anymore. A big Tampa Bay Rays news this week was Austin Meadows being to the Detroit Tigers for Isaac Paredes. Now Meadows was an interesting player. Yes, he could hit home runs and he could have great at bats, but he also struck out a lot. And that's what I noticed about the Rays lately. Yes, their identity is still pitching and defense. That's what it's been since the franchise has started, and especially when Joe Madden was the manager of the Rays when he took them to the World Series back in 2008 when they lost to the Philadelphia Phillies in that World Series. But the pitching and defense, that's what the Rays live on. So if their pitching is good, if their defense is good, they're going to be in good shape. But you're not going to see any Rays starter this year really go 6-7 innings. I mean, some you may not even see. You may see him get into the fourth, and then Kevin Cash likes to play this matchup game where you play this pitcher here, this pitcher there. This guy hits better against this guy, looks better against righties. This guy can't hit righties, so go in and kind of move the. So Kevin Cash is going to play matchup. So you're going to see, and a lot of times you're going to see this bullpen day kind of thing with the Rays, and other teams have adopted this too. You look at the New York Mets, Rich. You look at Jacob deGrom. DeGrom was supposed to start opening day for the Mets, but guess what? He's going to be missing time once again. You talk about a guy who's not been able to stay healthy. DeGrom, it seems like he's always injured. He did have Tommy John surgery, and he's just coming off of that. But he's not taking any chances with his shoulder. He pulled himself out of a spring training game here a week or so ago. But that's a tough blow if you're the New York Mets. Cause
I love it, Trent. And how about that? So the Mets, they get the DeGrom news. DeGrom's going to be out. Who knows for how long? Well, you take bets on when he's going to get back out there and pitch. But then you're like, well, we just spent all that money on Scherzer, and he'll start opening day. Well, guess what? Now Scherzer has a hamstring.
Yep.
You got to love it. All this talk about the Mets with Cohn and all his money, the billionaire, richest owner in sports, gets the Mets, spends a ton of money. Right, and right away, you get DeGrom going down, and now Scherzer, who will start. He's just not going to start opening day. I think he's going to start the second game of the season for the Mets. But hey, Scherzer's what, 37, 38 years old, and he's dealing with a hamstring. The season hasn't even started yet. That's not a good sign, man. That's not a good sign.
Well, and you're seeing more and more injuries like that because spring training was so rushed. I mean, you think about it. They crammed like 30 games within like a 3-week span with only 1 or 2 empty days.
Yeah, and that's not conducive to older players being successful. Those guys need to take their time, Trent.
Absolutely. No, like if you were playing and they did that, then you would be in the same boat as probably Max Scherzer or Jacob deGrom or something like that. I'm not saying you're old or anything, but
I thought I would be more in the situation of like a young Derek Jeter, a 1996 Derek Jeter. That's the
you could be, yeah.
The situation I would be in right now.
But anyway, kind of the last thing with sports, and of course you look at the NBA, the play-in tournament. That's next week, isn't it? The NBA season is finally coming to a close. It's hard to believe that we're almost midway through April already. Before we know it, next week we'll be midway through April. And, we got the NBA. The NBA playoffs are starting to heat up. The Golden State Warriors have kind of cooled off a little bit. It doesn't look like, Rich, if the Lakers keep playing the way they are, they may not even make the play-in tournament.
Well, the Lakers have been officially eliminated by the Phoenix Suns after losing to the Phoenix Suns earlier this week. So, and a lot of that, you had Anthony Davis come back here late in the season, but then LeBron went out with the ankle injury, and I believe the number is up to 7 since LeBron's been out. Lakers have lost 7 straight games, and then on Tuesday they were officially eliminated by the Phoenix Suns from the play-in tournament. They lost that game 121-110. Again, you didn't get an appearance from LeBron James in that game. You got 28 points from Russell Westbrook in a season that's been probably the toughest of his career. Anthony Davis, speaking about guys that can't stay healthy, that's a big reason why aside from the roster just not being constructed well, because obviously Westbrook is not a fit on the Lakers. He's kind of like I don't know how to say it, like a poor man's LeBron James. He basically has the same game LeBron does, just doesn't do it as well as LeBron does. To me, I didn't understand the idea of bringing in a Westbrook. If you got LeBron, you got Anthony Davis, you need guys that could shoot around them. You need guys that can shoot from long distance and let Davis and LeBron create. But they go out there, they get Westbrook. That didn't work out well, and here you go, 3 seasons into his Laker career. Now, granted, LeBron won a championship in the bubble, no doubt. LeBron, AD, they won a championship. So there's been, but look at it now, 3 seasons in LA, 2 of the 3 seasons he's missed the playoffs, which is so weird, because there was a time when LeBron was in the East where every year, whether he was on Cleveland or on Miami, they were going to the finals every single year.
Absolutely.
Now he goes to the West, to the Lakers. 2 out of the 3 years he's there, misses the playoffs. So, I still think he's one of the great players of all time. That's not what I mean. I still think he's one of the great players in the world right now, is what I'm trying to say. But is he what he was, say, 5 years ago? It's hard to say, because you have LeBron on a team surrounded by Hall of Famers who, granted, maybe aren't what they were 5 years ago themselves, whether you're talking about Carmelo Anthony or Russell Westbrook, but still, you have a LeBron-led LA Laker team with Carmelo, with Russell Westbrook, with Anthony Davis, even though Davis hardly played, that's missing the playoffs in a Western Conference that's not nearly as strong as the Eastern Conference is right now. So LeBron takes a big hit here as a GM, and it's hard to say as a player he does, because you look at the numbers, they're so spectacular. But you really got to wonder what's going on out there in LA with the Lakers. But yeah, I'm pretty excited for the play-in tournament there. Excited to see what Phoenix has. The only thing really to watch here at the end in the Western Conference is, will the Mavericks or the Warriors get that 3rd seed? They're going back and forth there. Half a game separates the Mavericks and the Warriors. So we'll see who gets the 3rd seed in the West, and that's about it. The Suns have blown everybody out. Phoenix with a 63-16 record, 8 games better than the 2nd seed Memphis Grizzlies, and the Grizzlies have been great this year too. What a year they've had with Ja Morant, who himself has missed a lot of games to injury this year as well. I think Morant has missed 22 games this year, or 24 games, and one of the crazy things that really might be something to look at as we get to the playoffs here, the Grizzlies are a darn good team top to bottom. Without Morant in the lineup this year, they're 20-2. So this team is really a complete team, not just a product of their superstars. So and the East is so strong. And you look at the Heat and the Celtics and the Bucks and the Sixers. Those top 4 teams. It's really hard to say who you would consider a favorite going into the playoffs. But you don't want to be the team that has to face the Brooklyn Nets in the first round. The Nets right now have the 8th seed. They will be in the play-in tournament. If they survive, and all of a sudden you're the number 1 seed Miami Heat or the number 2 seed Boston Celtics, and you're staring at, even though, let's be honest, the Brooklyn Nets have had a historically bad defense this year, but still, you're the Heat and you're the Celtics, and you're staring down the Brooklyn Nets and Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, who most people would say is the greatest player in the world right now. I don't care who you are. You just don't want to play the greatest player in the world in the first round. So that makes the whole dynamic of the early playoffs very interesting in the East. So, yeah, Trent, it's such a great time to be a sports fan. Major League Baseball getting underway this week, and then the NBA playoffs next week. I am in heaven.
Yeah, me too. That pretty much wraps it up for the sports this week.
That is Super Radio Brother Sports. I hope you enjoyed it.
It's time to sit down and unwind and listen to the Couch Report.
Yes, the Couch Report. We didn't talk about the Buccaneers on the sports this week, Trent. I hope you're not too upset.
I'm actually pretty glad.
No news is good news?
Yeah, no news is good news, you know. No more Bruce Arians talk, which, by the way, if you want to see my Super Radio Brothers highlight on head coach Bruce Arians, you can find it on YouTube.
Yeah, check it out. You can find that on YouTube, and a lot more Super Radio Brothers sports to come. I thought that was a good sports segment. Maybe we'll get a highlight video out of that as well. All right, Trent, so Super Radio Brother Couch Report. What have you been up to this week? What's going on in the life of Trent Ferguson?
We've had. I'm in the middle of right now. In terms of the band, I am in the middle of a 5-show and 8-day stretch. So we played a gig on Saturday in a town called Winter Haven, Florida. We played at a retirement community up there called Hidden Gulf Village. It was really nice. It was a very nice show. We played a 3-hour program from, I think it was 7:30 to 10:30 or something Saturday night. And then we had a quick turnaround on Sunday, because then we went and played at a retirement community called Tanglewood from 6 to 9 on Sunday. You know, hey, I'm I work during the week Monday through Friday, but hey, it's having a band show was cool too. Really enjoyed that from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. on Sunday. And then on Tuesday, we had a show in Frostproof, a little town called Frostproof. We played at a retirement community. We played at the end of last year, the beginning of this year, and really enjoyed that from 1 to 3 p.m., a little matinee for their residents on the Tuesday afternoon. And then we have 2 more shows this coming weekend. We have Friday, we play at the what's called the 12 Hours of Barbecue. I know Rich is a big fan of barbecue.
Oh, yeah.
We have a 12 Hours of Barbecue where all different kind of barbecue trucks will be out at this event. Really going to have a nice time. We play from 5 to 8 p.m. on Friday, which, you know, this one I kind of have a little bit of a discrepancy with, because it's during opening day, man. I wanted to see my Tampa Bay Rays. I wanted to watch the entire game in its entirety, every pitch, and just enjoy the fact that baseball is back. But you know what? That's why you have DVR. So I'll DVR it and watch it as soon as I get home. I'm hoping that the Rays have already blown out the Orioles by the time I have to stop listening. You know, hopefully it's like 6-7-0 in the 5th inning, and then you can actually breathe a little easier for a little bit. But who knows what's going to happen with that. And then on Saturday we finished this 5-show and 8-day stretch with a show at where's it at the Highlands Ridge down in Sebring. So gonna look forward to that. And then we have a couple of shows letting the bands off for a few months, so it's been fun. Definitely, of course, having the extra income, but also really enjoying myself as well. And the other thing, I'm of course, it's well documented on this show, I'm getting ready to graduate. And Rich, he can't believe it. I'm getting ready to walk across that stage and turn the tassel and really enjoy it, and enjoy my time. Going to be graduating from my college with my Associate of Arts degree.
I'm so shocked from the beginning. I was like, there's no way Trent's going to graduate. I don't believe this.
I know. Yeah, you're very shocked. I don't get it. But on Friday, this coming Friday, actually, I am in the running to be the commencement speaker for the graduation, for the student commencement speaker. So I actually have to go in front of the selection committee on Friday and perform my speech. And then they'll decide who they're going to pick among I think we got 5 or 6 finalists. That should
I
be
did read your
So,
paper, Trent.
What's that?
I read your paper. Is that your speech, what I read, or was that something
No. That wasn't my speech. No.
Oh.
I mean, I guess I could incorporate some of those things in my paper. By the way, while we're talking about that, what'd you think of the paper? Did you enjoy
I thought
it?
it was excellent. I thought it was captivating. It was a good read. It was, if you're someone who wonders how someone who is blind experiences things, and how certain things motivate you and push you to accomplish goals, and definitely technology and just everything you put in there, that's so personal and important to you in many different aspects of your human experience, I thought was very interesting. I thought it was a really good read. I thought it was excellent.
No, cool. I appreciate that. I'm glad you read that. It was a fun paper to write. I ended up getting a 100% officially on it the other day. He did send me an email on, he grades, my professor grades some papers on weekends, which I feel bad for him, but, he says he enjoys doing it on the weekend.
Do you think he could grade my paper? Like, I've been thinking of, you inspired me to write a paper because yours was so good. I wrote mine in crayon, though. Because it's what. Do you think he'll like it? Maybe he'll grade it for me.
Yeah. I mean, this guy's very innovative. You never know. I mean, okay. I'll run that by him when I go to class tomorrow.
Mine is colorful because I use green, red, blue, and I started to use yellow, but it's hard to see. So,
what a clash of colors there.
Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll maybe we can check on that.
Cool.
But yeah, we can definitely check on that. But other than that, getting ready to. So I had to perform my speech in front of the selection committee on Friday. And so really looking forward to that. So, hey, whether I get selected or not, it's just an honor in itself to be in the top 5. So I'm not going to be upset. If I don't get it, hey, that's fine. If I do get it, that's obviously what I want. But, just being in the top 5 and just being nominated is a true honor. So very, very happy with that. Of course, like I said, this is another week of me being off the couch, but I'm still trucking through some of the things. Spent a lot of time watching sports. I'm really into Family Feud right now. I have to say, Rich, I really enjoy the
Feud.
I'm into the Feud right now. Along with Upload, I'm into Family Feud still. I do watch a lot of game shows and love the fact that Steve Harvey, man, whenever he hosts that show, I love the fact that he makes jokes, but it is a game show, but he kind of adds some comic relief to it instead of it being all serious. Hey, that's the right answer. You won this amount of money. He does comment on some of the outrageous answers that people give on that program. So whenever I am on the couch, which is very little, I spend a lot of my time either watching sports or watching Family Feud or Upload. I think I've crossed over to season 2 in Upload, and
awesome.
I really enjoyed season 1, man. I thought season 1 was the character development, like we talked about last week. It's I still can't get past the uploading your conscience. I still can't get past that. But
I love how Trent. I love how the poor people get 1 gig. Right, you have to be real careful with the amount of gigs you use or the amount of memory you use, because then you just shut down for the month. That was pretty funny.
It kind of reminds me too, where for example, you remember whenever you had like a little phone and you only got a certain amount of minutes, where
exactly.
you didn't even have the unlimited plan. You only had you only have 120 minutes to speak on your phone, per month. So you need to use them wisely. And, you always hated it when people called you and was like, you're going to run my minutes out. I have a minute phone. Nowadays, we used to take that. I take that for granted now because, I have an unlimited plan with my iPhone. I can text people, I can call, I can FaceTime pretty much when I want. And it pretty much costs the same on a monthly basis. So it's kind of, that's what I attribute.
Yeah, maybe you can get an Upload unlimited plan. Yeah, they should work that in there. Maybe that's season 3.
There's unlimited plans, and everywhere else you might as well be an Upload unlimited.
Well, that's I think you know this by now, but that's one of the reasons why he was murdered, was because he was developing an Upload style of program that was free.
I get it.
And maybe he was murdered because the Upload that he's in now, they charged a lot of money for it. So, I love Upload. I think that show's great. I really, really dig it.
Yes, I do too. But that basically that concludes my couch report. Not much time on the couch, but I'm still watching some TV whenever I can.
All right, very cool. So let's see, what do I got on my couch report? A couple of things. And I'll refer you to some of the Super Radio Brother highlights videos. Moon Knight episode 1. Disney Plus came out. Very exciting. The latest Marvel superhero to hit the screen. And this follows, I guess the last Disney Plus series was Hawkeye. and you'll get my full review on the Super Radio Brothers highlights video. I will say that going into it, I was wondering, would it be like the Netflix series like Daredevil or Jessica Jones or Luke Cage, these more violent entries into the genre? Marvel Comics did the same thing, but they would call it Marvel Knights, and it would be a darker, grittier style of storytelling, and Moon Knight was definitely part of the Marvel Knights, as was Daredevil and characters like that. So I was wondering, one of the things was asking myself, well, will this live up to that, what Netflix did with Daredevil? Will it be dark and gritty and violent like that? And I do feel like the first episode was Disney-fied. I do think that. So I don't think it was you had a lot of reviews out there saying this was Marvel's first venture into the horror genre. I thought it was very Marvel Disney for the first episode. Now, this is a 6-episode series. And look, that's not even to say that's a bad thing. The Marvel Disney formula is very successful and for the most part very good. So that doesn't mean this is going to be bad overall. We only have one 40-minute episode to go on so far. So at the time of this recording of the podcast, episode 2 has been released on Disney Plus. So I will at some point here see episode 2, and you'll get a Super Radio Brothers highlights video on my reaction to episode 2. So that's coming soon. Just because I feel like the first episode was less Netflix and more Disney MCU, don't look at that as necessarily a bad thing. We'll see where it goes in episode 2. Speaking of bad things, I did see Sony's Morbius over the weekend. And again, Trent, shameful plug. Check out my full review on Super Radio Brothers highlights.
I saw it.
I'll just give you the positive here. I do think it was better than most people are saying, because I think if you're a horror fan and you like vampires and some gore and stuff like that, I definitely do think it delivers on those things. But I do think fundamental story premises just don't make any sense at all. And again, to have Morbius without Spider-Man just makes no sense. As a matter of fact, I liked Jared Leto in the role of Michael Morbius so much, I lament the fact that it wasn't used in a Spider-Man movie. This should be the antagonist in a Spider-Man movie. You know, maybe a lot of creators and directors and producers ignored the potential for that. You know, we kind of have always gotten the A-list Spider-Man villains, whether it was Green Goblin or Dr. Otto Octavius or, you know, Dr. Kirk Connors, the Lizard, all those. We never went Michael Morbius, character created, I believe, in 1971, first introduced in Amazing Spider-Man 101, which, by the way, we're into the 800s on that comic book. And through my lifetime, I've read just about every single issue, believe it or not. So big Spider-Man fan. But, yeah, very disappointing not to see Morbius in Spider-Man. The movie itself wasn't that good, but I don't think 16% on Rotten Tomatoes does it justice. I do think it was better than that. So on my Super Radio Brothers highlights, I give it a 5 out of 10. Just for comparison.
50%, that's not good.
But by comparison, if I were to rate Sony's Venom movies, which is another venture into the Spider-Man Rogues category without Spider-Man, right? You're having a Venom movie without Spider-Man. I mean, that's a 1. That shit was awful. So if I were to compare it to that, this is a 10 out of 10. You know, so it was an improvement to what Sony usually has to offer. As far as the small screen, I'm really into this show from Epix called From. I talked about it last week, about this road that leads to a town, this nightmarish town that basically traps everyone who enters the town. They can't leave. There are these weird demonic creatures that when the nighttime comes, they come out and the people basically have to stay inside. Very cool. It very much reminds me of the old Vincent Price movie Last Man on Earth, which has been redone many times. It was based on a book back then, but you had Vincent Price, Last Man on Earth. The creature is very similar. And then you had Omega Man in the 70s. And, of course, Will Smith starred in the, I don't remember if it was late 90s or 2000s version. That one was called I Am Legend. So it's a story that's been done over and over again. And this is Epix. This is MGM Studios, Universal Monsters, the whole thing. So something in my mind tells me, I don't know, maybe I'll be proven right or wrong here, but I feel like it has to be connected to the Vincent Price Last Man on Earth movie. So we'll see if I turn out to be right on that. Let's see, what else did I have here? I'm pretty sure I'm forgetting something, but, what can you do? Sometimes you forget things, Trent. You know what I mean? Oh, I have been watching another Apple TV show called Severance, which has a really interesting premise. It stars Adam Scott. You might know him from Step Brothers. He's a pretty funny guy. He leads a team of office workers whose memories have been surgically divided between their work and personal lives. So basically, Trent, when you go to work, you don't remember what goes on when you're not at work. And when you leave work, you don't remember what went on when you were at work. So essentially the surgery splits you into two people, So it's an interesting concept. It's a wacky show, but Severance, Apple TV, halfway through season 1. And I really like it. I think it's a cool, interesting concept, because most people would say conventionally, I would never do that. I would never have surgery that would basically half the time I wouldn't know what's going on. But if you've ever had to work a job that you really hate, but you have to, because you got to pay the bills, for people who have experienced that in life, a concept like that might make sense, because then it doesn't matter. You don't think about it at all. You don't even experience it. There's a whole other person basically working for you. So I think it's an interesting concept, Severance. So another show I'm checking out. Let's see. And I guess lastly, I'll just say a couple of telescope things. I have some astronomy vlogs going on Super Radio Brother Highlights on YouTube. I recently got a 12-inch Dobsonian telescope, 12-inch aperture, which is pretty huge. It's a massive scope. It's 57 inches optical tube, 50 pounds. Altogether, it's about 87-pound telescope. And I had really cool experience this past week, just discovering a lot of different galaxies. Before I had this telescope, when I was working on a 3.5-inch aperture, the only galaxy I had seen was the Andromeda Galaxy, which is the closest to Earth, actually on a collision course with Earth. But since I've gotten the big Dob, I've seen the Whirlpool Galaxy, which is amazing because it is two galaxies basically interacting, colliding in Ursa Major. I've seen, and then the other night I saw the Leo Triplet, which is 3 more galaxies, which blew my mind. And then last night I had the coolest experience. I got out there and I learned about this. I learned about this constellation that because now I'm starting to learn kind of the spring skies, and constellation is coming into view called the Coma Berenices. And there's a globular cluster of stars, Messier 53, and there's also the Black Eye Galaxy, Messier 64. So I was looking for Messier 53, and I run into Messier 64 by accident. But right away I could tell through a 30-millimeter eyepiece, which is low power, that this was a special galaxy, because it was so, usually when you look at galaxies, and you're not using the Hubble telescope, you're going to see the gray smudge, the big gray cloud with what's a very bright center, which is most likely a supermassive black hole. But generally, that's what you're going to see. You're going to see the bright core, and extending beyond it is this gray cloud, which if you use averted vision, you spend enough time with it, maybe you start to see the spiral structure of the galaxy. So you got to take your time with it. But when I saw the Black Eye Galaxy for the first time, M64, something special about this. Look at that. It's popping. It's really bright. So I went to a higher magnification than I ever tried with a Galaxy, which was a 9mm eyepiece. And for the first time ever, I could see stars within the galaxy, which just blew my mind. It was just an amazing experience because I've gotten used to looking at galaxies as just like a gray cloud with a bright core. But now I could see the spiral arms populated by stars through the 9mm eyepiece on a 12-inch Dobsonian under dark skies, looking into the Coma Berenices constellation. I'd never experienced seeing something like that. Now it's a galaxy that's estimated to be anywhere from 15 to 50 million light years away. Most estimates would be around 24. So it takes about 24 million years for the light to reach Earth. So you're looking at something like that. You're looking at a structure that has over 100 billion stars in it. And to actually see stars within the structure of this galaxy just blew my mind. So having a lot of success with the new telescope, and that was probably the tops of my experience so far. I mean, so far in 2 weeks, I went from only seeing one galaxy in my short astronomer career to now I've seen about 7. So it's been pretty successful and a lot of fun, and I'm super pumped up about it. You know, I've gone from just a planetary viewer to now really being good at hunting and finding some of these deep sky objects. So I love it, Trent. What can I tell you? That's my couch.
Sounds good. Well, it also sounds like we completed another show. It was it went fast. These are going quick.
Yeah, these. You know why, Trent? You know why these are going quick?
Why?
Because time flies when you're having fun. Somebody said that. A very smart person said, "Time flies when you're having fun." Don't you agree?
I agree wholeheartedly.
Yes, thank you so much, Trent, and everybody listening. We will return in 1 week. When we come back, the Major League Baseball season will be in full swing and so much more going on. Check out Super Radio Brothers highlights. Check us out on YouTube, on Facebook, the podcast, the videos, the whole thing. We have a lot to offer. We'll see you soon. In the words of Bob Dylan, time is an ocean, but it ends at the shore. The Super Radio Brothers have reached the shore. See ya!
Bye.